All
We
right.
go on your page.
Yeah, we live. Yeah, you can just go share from my page. All right, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Unique Perspective Love Talk Radio, the conversation room. We are back another week, and we are here. We here for the take. Hey, somebody's clicking. Is that you, Serena? Here, all this 100 words a minute typing over there. I'm just
I'm typing on my other phone.
I'm teasing.
I'm typing on my other phone, but not this one.
So we are here to, continue the dialogue. Me and Mr. Ford kicked the ball off earlier in the pre-show. We were talking about true love and, the whole dissertation around that. But tonight we're going to run through some, we're going to kind of run through some random plights and questions and see if we can come up with while we have these good folks that are present tonight. We have Mr. Ford again, Adam Ford. We have Mr. Inyatu. Then we have Miss Serena. The others may pop on. They're running a little behind. But anyway, the show must go on. So, all right, I'm gonna hit straight at it. Let's see. Hold on. All right, let's hit straight at it. Oh, sorry, guys. This guy, Xavier. Anyway, all right, let's hit straight at it. Question. I'm going to throw this one. I'll throw this one out there. See what y'all think. Basically, sometimes when you see a person and you like, man, what happened to this person? And look like their life worked out and they done met this person. And look, the people in the comments saying something about a background noise. There's some kind of clicking. I don't know who.
Yeah, I think it might be in Yatu's phone.
No, I think it's Poison Ivy.
You think it's Poison Ivy?
No, she's muted. It ain't her. Mute your phone for one second.
Let me see how you mute yourself.
Oh. Wait a minute. Poison Ivy, how did you mute yourself?
I went to the little audio button and just tapped it.
Yeah.
Oh, down the bottom.
Oh, down the bottom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was in Yatu.
It was in Yatu.
It was in Yatu.
Probably because he's outside. It's probably because he's outside. It's picking up all the background.
Okay. I mean, just when you can come back in. Let's come on back in. Let me see how it sounds now. Let me see.
I'm gonna keep it muted because
okay,
it's clicking pretty bad.
All right, cool. Yeah. All right. So basically, the question is, was it really when you see someone when we see someone out there and it looks like the person is let's just say sometimes you ever seen a couple where you might be one ladies might have a girlfriend of yours and you might be like, where did she find Inyatu? Oh my God, look at them. They're look at, I mean, this guy is this, that, and the other, right? But what you don't know is in some cases, are you looking at this as a come up or did you just simply clean him up? It's a difference. The difference is the come up is you meet you. I'm just using you for an example in Yatu. You meet in Yatu, and in Yatu is like, look, I'm Fortune 500, and I'm going to help get you together. Okay, I'm established, and that's you. I'm gonna help you. That's the come up to the person that's like, wow, okay, this brother has his stuff together. We're gonna roll together. The cleanup is you meet the guy. Technically he on bum status, right? So he on bum status, but you taking him to job interviews.
He's a scrub.
Taking him to Macy's to buy him a shirt and tie, fixing his resume up. You doing all of these things, and then later you keep the background work to yourself. But technically, you clean somebody up, and we all know. Now I don't know what you all ladies think about this, but a lot of times I've seen some people when you clean them up, they get shined up and they keep it moving. And so in some cases, it just depends on how appreciative that person is to you. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Look at Charlie Wilson. He's always been like a singing superstar, right? But he had his moment where he fell on his face. He had his relapse where he came on this woman who met him actually when he was in rehab. And she saw that he was deemable in that state. She like, this is a good guy. She ended up hanging out with him, and then she brought up to me the reason why I said this woman must have brought out that best in him, because after that whole experience that he had in that what did I say, the
rehab?
Yeah, rehab. He came out and he was just hits, and he just took off like a whole new lease on life. And so that's an example of somebody who was up at one time but took a fall. If you meet a man like that, you know, people aren't perfect, and I'm saying this as a man, but it could be men and women or men. So if you meet this person and after they've taken a fall and you're with them and you like, you know, but you know, I know this person is on hard time, but they do have the potential to get to be here because I've seen them there before. It's a different entirely story altogether when you are trying to clean someone up who you have no knowledge of the come up ever. You don't know where they can be. You've never seen them there. You're just saying, maybe if I shine them up a little bit, they'll look nice. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Mr. Yatu. What you think?
I have seen it go both ways.
Hey y'all!
Hey,
You called and you said they were going to do that.
Come on,
that is too funny.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
There's a famous motivational speaker. His name is Eric Thomas. They call him the hip hop preacher.
Yeah,
he's like, they use his voice for night commercials and stuff like that. Yeah. And I used to work with this company that paid him to do some personal trainings with the leaders. And he was telling the story of how he was living in his car, like when he met his wife. And, you know, she cleaned him up and he started doing the motivational speaking with no degrees. And then he went back to school and got his bachelor's and then his master's and his PhD. Yeah. Wife diagnosed with cancer, had to shave the head, the breast cut off, whatever. And he like, I ain't never going nowhere. I ain't never cheating. She don't never have to worry about nothing.
Right.
And been around him a few times, so I don't know everything that's going on in his life, but I know that no scandals come out. And when he's saying it, you know, he seems so sincere about it. And then on the flip side, met a young lady. She like is a VP for a women's product company. Made $500,000 a year, had been married to a rich white guy who tried to play her, and she sued him and won and got $5 million. So she met this cat and bought him a Jaguar, cleaned him up, and he couldn't wait to go pop bottles and drive around the drop-top Jaguar with women who didn't know that she was the one who financed this and she was the one who put all this together. And if I really, really think about it, I think the average man's ego is going to make him want to do that. You can't feel like a man being taken care of. I mean, things happen to people and things of that nature, but in no long-term situation, if you have man in you, are you going to be okay with just being taken care of? And so to me, that guy, in order to feel like a man, he wanted to go around women who saw him as successful and saw him as a man, even though that's not really what he was living up to.
He had to evolve. Yeah.
Too funny. She's like, I'm gonna repo that Jaguar and give it to you. I was like, no. No.
So Serena. I'm sorry. Before we get to Ford, tell me this.
Yes, sir.
Just from a woman that has lived life and so on and so forth, how do you see that difference between, you know, basically, is it the come up or the cleanup?
I gotta be honest. I think it's rooted in what some of the ladies said in the comments, that they have to have a foundation and their own motivation to want to have their own come up. You know, most men, I mean, I live by the theory that if a man falls flat, it's up to him to pull himself up to get to where he wants to be. Okay. So my opinion is, I don't want to say it's a come up, because if it's coming off of someone else's coattails, that's not really your come up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's like, it should be something you want to do for yourself to better yourself, just like a woman who wants to change her appearance for the better to attract the right man. It should come from something within herself versus outside sources trying to get you there, if that makes sense.
Good stuff. Mr. Ford. That's right. Pick on you. Pick on you. Pick on you.
I mean, oh Lord have mercy. You know what? I think honestly, and I could be wrong, and I probably am, but I think it's actually it may be a double standard that we may not be looking at, and that is the fact that a man can take a woman and fix her up if she's not quite right or not quite all that he wants her to be. He'll take her. He'll spend his money on her to fix her up in the best possible way. And we don't have a problem with that. At least some of us don't. We don't have a problem with that when we see that happen. But then when a woman does it to a man, then for lack of a better word, that man has been emasculated and he's no longer a man. He's more of a boy toy or a trophy than he is anything else. And I don't know how I feel about this. Honestly, I don't know. I think that a person, not a man or a woman, but a person should be able to stand on their own 2 feet and provide for themselves and do for themselves rather than letting somebody else do it for them.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about somebody who's dependent on you versus them being dependent on themselves.
Yeah. So Adam, you're making a good point. So you were saying, so on the flip side of how it's looked at when it's the man being, like you saying, the boy toy and fixed up. Think about that guy. Think about the guy a few years, some years back. And not too, you may know what I'm talking about. There was this light-skinned guy. The ladies probably know. He was all over Yahoo.
I know who you're talking about.
Inmate guy, light eyes, right? Inmate guy. Guess what?
Maria was talking about him last night.
He was already in a relationship, right? He was already with somebody. Well, guess what? He got out, and because of his platform of being viewed and his looks, guess what? This millionaire chick looked him up and just came in on the scene and was like, "Oh, I'm going to bring the come up on this one," and took the dude right on the way. He left the woman and went right on with her. So I mean, perfect example. But again, that's a boy toy type scenario right there.
It's a boy toy, yeah.
Come on, I know you don't got nothing. You got out the pen, but come on with me. You look good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not really familiar with situations like that, but I think again, if you're going to be the person that brings somebody else up, then you need to have an honest, truthful conversation with that person and let them know what your intentions are. And they also, the one who's being brought up, needs to make a full disclosure, and they need to let you know what their intentions are. Otherwise, this is going to be screwed. Any way you put it, it's going to be screwed up. It's going to the left. As soon as you're doing something, it's going to the left. I guarantee you. Because none of us are being honest with this whole situation. Because here's the thing, the person who was doing the come up, who was fixing up the other person, who was rehabbing the other person, rehabilitation, like a house, you're flipping a house.
Yeah.
They are in a position of control now. They can control you, manipulate you to do whatever it is that they want you to do. You know why? Because they put their money in you, and now you belong to them.
Wow, that's good stuff. Miss Leandra, we won't bother you too much. I know you get a little nervous over here. Miss Leandra, tell us from let's just say you encounter. How do you see it from encountering the man that's way up here, and you meet him, you was like, wow, okay, this is different. Or the guy that may approach you that he's looking at you potentially as, man, she look like she got this and that, looks real comfortable over there. Maybe I can see if I can get in where I fit in with this particular woman when he knows he's not necessarily on your level. How do you see that?
Well, I feel like I have had one too many projects because I always try to not look at the materialistic stuff. I'm just always trying to look at your personality that you present to me, your characteristics and everything. And it turns out these guys are usually the ones that need a little bit of fixing up. So I have had my fair share And now I have no really I have no sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't ever want to do that again, you know, because I have found that just really did not work for me. I tried so hard to help one particular person, and it wore me down. So
Wow.
now it's just like, yeah, it's just like, you know what? Now I am comfortable. I had to take some time off in the dating field. Bye. And that was when I realized, like, taking that time off was when I really realized, like, you know what? I can do so many things. My girl Serena, she was my helping mate. Like, she was like, you're going to Florida, you're going to do certain things on your own, and it helped me out. So what I will say is, building that friendship circle is what really helps me get out of that frame of mind of helper, like like I always thought to be.
Yeah. So Leandra, you brought up a good point. Someone in the comments, Tanisha Savage says projects that usually draw for the established women. So Natalie, we're gonna throw it at you. What? So because we're talking about basically the difference between a come up and a clean up. You know, you cleaning someone up basically versus you coming up on somebody that's established. So basically, how have you fared? Maybe if you've had any experiences in the past where you've ran into situations where you felt like someone was attempting to use you as the come up.
I haven't. I mean, to be fair, I haven't really run into those type of situations where a person is attempting to use me as a come up. I probably can speak more to me being on either side of the fence for those two situations. I think when women are attempting to clean somebody up, I think it's because sometimes as women, we can be guilty of dating potential. You know, so we'll look at a guy and we'll say, okay, well, he would be great if this, or he would be great if this was just this certain way. And so sometimes I think in an effort to help them to see a better version of themselves, we find ourselves doing a little bit of cleanup. And I don't necessarily agree with my behavior doing that in the past. I think you have to meet a person where they are. Right. Because potential is really in your eyes. So if they never realize that potential, I mean, it was what you wanted for them, not what they wanted for them. Have I dated? Well, yeah, I'll leave it there. We'll put a period at the end of that.
Come on, Natalie.
We'll put a period. I digress.
Right.
I digress.
She didn't want to tell, but listen. Here's the thing.
I want that tail off.
Right. Here's the thing. I think there's a fine line when it comes to women. When it comes to this, because there's a fine line between like doing that. I saw someone in the comment talk about it's subtle how a woman will kind of, maybe help someone that's attempting to be able to come up with them. But there's a fine line between helping and hindering. When you enable people, when you hinder them, it's like now you're on the risk of doing something that can just implode the whole relationship altogether. Because sometimes when you enable a person, now you just become, you take all the things out of them, all of the innate actions of being a man becomes, when you told me you was going to pay my phone bill, I ain't got my rent, I don't have my car, no, everything becomes you because you one little trick has turned over to another, and now all things financial are you now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that can happen. Yeah.
Hey, no, that's real talk. Some years back, I was dating a young lady, and she had made some mistakes when she was younger, but she seemed like she was focused and determined. And she set a goal for herself, and just because of what the circumstances were, I had some resources where I could help her, and it wouldn't cost me any money or anything like that. And I did. And she was like, "You're my Russell Wilson." I got so offended. I think I only talked to her 2 times after she said that out of her mouth. But just her saying that, like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, Nah. No, I am not your Russell Wilson.
That's funny. That is
You're not gonna
funny.
do that.
Right.
Hilarious.
Don't put me in that category.
Man, but you know what? You'll be surprised. I remember one time, and this particular person was furious with me because I only spoke it, like I only said this to this individual because to me, it just perceived, to me, it came across, at the time when I was dating this person. In other words, she was telling me in a soft way that basically, in order to make this a fair exchange and a pleasant one, these are the things that I enjoy. I like occasional flowers, blah, blah, blah. I like this, that. And then she said, but it didn't stop there. Then she said, because, a nice little Louis here and there, a so-and-so bag, this and this and this. And I was just like, it turned into I need consistent trinkets to keep me focused. Or, that's what my old relationships did for me. And that's what I need to keep me engaged. Or, I'm probably not going to be as responsive. And so when I said these words, he just about cussed. I said, well, it sounded like you talking about help. That's not necessarily. It seems like to me, every time we talk, we're talking about some sort of need or something to ignite you being sort of present. And I'm like, What the heck is that? Like, what were you doing before me? You weren't vibing, or you just looking at somebody as a come on? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know you got some stories in y'all too. I know James.
I've seen a lot in this regard. And it's like what Adam was saying, if a man helps a woman, it's like that's what he was supposed to do. Right. Even if she takes off on him, I saw an episode of like a Basketball Wives or something. I'm flipping the channels. It was years ago, but she was saying that the NBA player was trying to stay relevant by staying in contact with her. I'm like, you're on Basketball Wives, sweetheart. The only reason you on here is
because of him.
Right.
To this dude, you talking about he trying to come up off of your shine. So that is how even delusional society can be when it's the man helping the woman. But when it's the other way around, it's an issue. A young lady wanted to celebrate something I accomplished a couple of years back and wanted to take me out to eat. And we went out to eat. And so when the bill came, she grabbed the bill. And there was a couple like 4 tables over. And the woman was like, see, I knew it. And I knew it. He's a pretty boy. She's paying them.
Wow.
I'm like,
oh my God.
He's using
dinners. You know what I mean? Like that is like almost never, ever, 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 ever the case. But because that's the vibe that's out here so much, that's how that was interpreted or whatever. Yeah. But that definitely cracked me up. And if I could even be more transparent, in the past I had aspirations of being a music mogul, and I had quit my job and I was dumping all my money into that. And a woman came along, and I wouldn't say she cleaned me up because I was already up to snuff, but she definitely held me down and for a period of time, and never ever try to treat me like a boy toy or emasculate me or any type of way. She had some type of special demeanor and talent about herself in that regard, and that never became an issue. And I always felt bad because ultimately she wasn't the one for me, but she was a great person and a great girlfriend to me. And my conscience felt not so great about the fact that we weren't who were best for each other to be. If I could be.
So he got to, and pretty much another word too. She was a great bus stop. I'm just joking with myself.
Did you realize she wasn't the one before or after she held you down?
It was sort of like towards the end of holding me down.
It was after.
I'll own it. I'll own it. I'm a tripped out individual. I will own it. But I used to say to her regularly, like, do you think that somebody else who's different for me would be better for you. Like, I understand the feelings are there, but as far as compatibility is concerned, do you think that somebody who wants some of the same things you want, she thought that something in my life was going to change what I wanted, and it wasn't, and it didn't. But I can admit that I felt like even when things turned around and I was the one taking care of everything, I didn't feel comfortable letting go of the relationship. I let her do it in her own time, and I wasn't going to push it or force it. So in some ways, I was disengaged. So I wouldn't say I was still the best boyfriend, but I couldn't bring myself to not let her do it on her own terms, good or bad, right or wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
Okay.
So here's a quick angle I'll throw at you all on this really quick. So think about the different responses you'll get. Let's just say, like when y'all was talking about the lady who paid the bill. Think about how if y'all two meets this woman, and like you said, she's making over $500K, she's paid. He meets her immediately. The family is like, you know what? That nigga, he know that he got something up his sleeve. He trying to use my baby. But think about how women sometimes get offended when their mother is like, now in Yaku, you know that you're a millionaire. Do you know this woman you're bringing up in here? Is she trying to use you? The women get really upset. But when the shoe is on the other foot, we kind of look at it, the family looks at it like the guy is the user. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. It's a double standard.
Yeah.
That's what I started out saying. You know, and I don't think we mean it to be that way, but for whatever reasons, because of the quote unquote gender roles that we have, that's the way that we see it, and it's not right. That's not cool.
Yeah. Wow.
I think women who
may I say something?
Oh,
yeah.
What I was gonna say is to piggyback off of Adam. Yeah, it probably isn't right, but then neither is the ideology that a man can sleep with 1,000,000 women and a woman can't, right? So a man can sleep with 1,000,000 women and be a whore, but not be necessarily frowned down upon because of that. But a woman, if she does the same thing, she is. So I think that in men and women relationships, are heterosexual, homosexual, whatever, there's always a kind of double standard, and it's just what it is. It just exists. There's nothing to be done about it. It just exists. And trying to change that dynamic is just as cumbersome as trying to change the dynamic about how a woman can have as many male partners as a man can have as many women partners. Like, you'll never be able to make that dynamic make sense. So it's just one of those things. It is what it is.
Right.
I don't know. I think we living in a time where Black China and Amber Rose and Kim Kardashian and everybody who doing whatever the fuck they want to with their vaginas is no one's giving them shit. People are marrying them, giving them rings. Like,
I think, but I think that those women appeal to a certain type of woman. It would be unfair to say that all women put them on a pedestal and celebrate them, because that's just not true. Just like not all men, I can't even think of who you guys might put on a pedestal and celebrate. But what I'm saying is that it's kind of like individual, to each their own. And for women that are not celebrating a lifestyle where you are super promiscuous, I think that it is a double standard. Not saying that we want to be able to lay in bed with as many men as we want, but I think it's important to note that these standards exist. It's just is what it is.
They do.
I agree totally. They definitely exist. I also think that people have gotten to a place where they're doing whatever they want to behind closed doors. I think that women are, while there's still a lot of judgment out there, I think women are more sexually liberated than ever before, whether they speak on it honestly or not. People are doing whatever they want to do, and they definitely aren't as concerned about it as they used to. And the same goes for men. There are men who will use women for financial gain, and they don't care about what nobody think about that. I remember like 100 shows ago, Charles was talking about he used to play basketball with a guy. He drove a nice car. And you like, so what do you do? And he kept giving this giggle, and it became obvious to you that his girl was taking
she was front everything.
Every year around tax time, even with women who don't have a lot of money, every year around tax time, there's memes and jokes going around about men using women for their tax returns. That didn't happen one time and it became a popular joke and a popular meme. It happens every year.
Every year.
Crying in the bank. Like, I let my baby daddy do this to me for the third time. She's in
Not
tears.
the
She going
baby
crazy. Like,
daddy.
I'm gonna kill him. I think I'm gonna shoot him. If I had a gun, I would kill him. I'm just like, sweetheart, you know, you gotta calm down. You about to ruin your whole life even worse.
Right.
But she said 3 years in a row, she, you know, in listening to what she was saying, she felt like she was showing him a level of loyalty that he wasn't going to get from anywhere else, a level of support that he wasn't going to get from anywhere else. And ultimately he would see that she was the one. Unfortunately, she was terribly mistaken.
Wow.
That he loved to play her and take advantage of her if he did it 3 years in a row. Come on, man. This just what you do. She probably one of many women that he was playing that type of game with. So
absolutely, man.
It is.
Mr.
What can you do with that?
Adam.
Well, Katonia Jackson was saying, I think to piggyback on what we were saying earlier, hence that is why, or this is a flaw that women have, thinking you can change a man's narrative and will waste precious time trying to do so. It's great transparency. Yeah. And Ms. Deborah, how you doing, Ms. Deborah? She says, it's a shame that women try to hold a man down to try and keep him, and you'll lose every time. So from their perspective, that's how they're viewing this.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's also gender roles too.
So I'll say this. Someone had shared, and I'll say this in the atmosphere, but someone had shared with me over the weekend about their issue in their relationship. And I'll keep this as close as possible. But here's the point. The person is saying, here's the thing. We always start off, and we start off at the same starting line as the other person. We get what it is. We always forget the narrative that people tell you up front. And then later, we say to ourselves, that's okay. I heard what you said, Yatu, but I'm sure 9 months down the line, you'll think something differently. And then 9 months come, and Yatu is still married to his state. He's standing on what he said. And those 9 months doesn't change. 18 months doesn't change. It's the same thing. And so this person was basically saying, you know, I don't think it's nothing. I think, you know, me and this person is going through it. I don't think it's another woman, but basically they're not giving me them. They basically keeping me, you know, they kind of, you know, I feel like they're just really not letting me in, and they're just emotionally unavailable. And I said, well, listen, you got to understand this. Some people this is how most people work. No one is technically closed to everybody. They're open to somebody. You're just not the recipient. They're open to somebody. They're just not open to you. And however that thing started off in that person's mind, they have deemed you in category X, and that's where they keep you. They're not thinking about moving you to A, B, C. It's X. And that sometimes we got to stop trying to overly prove our worth to somebody who just doesn't get it. And it's not that the person don't think that you're worth anything. They just don't see that space and time with you on that level. And so wherever you guys were and wherever you lost in the fire, sometimes you got to walk on out and just grab your night shoes and keep it moving. Just say, I was able to get my robe and my shoes. Let me go. I don't think this is going to pay out. And just let it go. But sometimes it's a lot. I think this person was kind of fighting internally because she wants this person to see me. I need you to see me. And if they don't see you, they don't see you. I mean, What do you do? Right. What you think, Adam? What you think about that?
No, I was saying, I mean, if they don't see you, they don't see you, which means they're probably not for you.
Right.
You're spinning your wheels and spending your time and your energy on a futile exercise. No matter what you do or how you dress or how you act, they just don't see you. Yeah. Just take that as a signal for you to leave and for whatever the situation is to be done and over with. Right. Why would you spend your time with somebody who doesn't value you, who doesn't find you worthy to spend time with? Right. That's pointless. Come on.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Natalie. Ladies first.
I was gonna say I saw a post earlier that said that the right people hear you differently. I think that a person's action is speaking. It is saying something. You know, it may not be verbal, but there's something being communicated. So if you aren't getting the words you want to hear, then you better be really good at reading body language and other types of things. You better be really good at picking up on physical language, because either way, something is being communicated.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another dynamic I like to throw in this mix is that people don't. There's so many dynamics that come into play when it comes to being a right match for somebody. And one thing I realized that connects to this cleaning up and the come up type of thing is the person you would choose when you at the top of your game and everything is working and your life is in rhythm and you feeling successful and super duper confident is not the person you would pick when you in the valley. Like your mindset, your belief system, all of that, you in a different place. You don't think the same when you're in survival mode as you do when you're in thriving mode.
Ooh.
And as you know, I've been fortunate enough to, as a young person, be mentored by some guys who are making a ton of money, and so we have this conversation all the time about depending on where you've been in your life, you may not know how to be a good boyfriend or girlfriend to somebody who has $1 million or who has a level of fame or a platform or things going on. The person you are when you're making $4,000 a month and the person you are when you're making $40,000 a month has different needs.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, you know, don't want to put that into play. The timing, you know, positioning, all those things come into play in relationships as well. And so that's why people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, because it really just depends on where you are in your life, internally and externally.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And you know what? Let me say that's a very good point. And to piggyback off of Inyatu, what I'll say is that's why sometimes you'll see a dynamic where to us it appears that a person is obviously being used, but you just don't know where they are in their life and what they require in the person that they're dating. Prime example, let's take a Kris Jenner and a Corey Gamble. The outside world can't understand that dynamic at all. But maybe she doesn't need him for the money. That's obvious. Maybe he provides something else for her that she enjoys. I don't know. But I think it's important to note that different people are looking for different things. And not everybody feels used. Some people are getting exactly what they signed up for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Until, Natalie, what they signed up for changes. That's when you see what's really happening.
Well, but you know what? That's the way it is in any relationship, though.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's a relationship that isn't a user-based relationship.
Yeah.
We're all happy as long
Yeah.
as things are going our way.
Yeah.
It's when things switch up and they're not going our way that we throw the temper tantrums. But in those scenarios, like I'm just saying that some people are getting exactly what they want. And just because it looks weird to us, they're getting what they want.
Exactly.
They're happy with it.
Well, I talked about this before. I talked about how I used to have this manager years ago who was dating this. He was a Caucasian guy. He was dating his sister, and attractive woman. But he was an older guy. You kind of knew it. And y'all too. He was on ice cube. He was getting juice for his ducats, right? So back in them days, it was very clear this man was the sponsor. Make a long story short. He sung her praises and brought her to the Christmas parties, brought her to all the events we had until she got in them pockets in the worst way and kind of really used him. Then he was trash all along. She was just, I should have left her down there in the inner city where I met her. All of those things came out at the end, but at first she was the best. You know, he was doing all this. She's great. She's a real example of a strong black woman. And a strong all this. But the minute she got in them pockets, because he was advertising them pockets, now she should have left you back down there on flossing. So figure, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how sometimes it happens when you are dealing with a person with means versus when they're dealing with someone like Inyatu said, when there's a huge financial gap. Sometimes people, how people respond with money is differently. And this is another reason why I always say, before you get to a place in life when you're with someone and you all are discussing next level on that level, you really need to know how people handle when they're being, I guess, what's the word? when somebody's being upgraded or when something in their life is elevation, when something has happened, you need to know where you are. Because some people are content with you because they're not in a good place and your life presents a beacon of light. But the minute something comes along, now they get to choose where they ideally want to be. And this person is nice, but he was nice while I was here. But now that I have these means, I'm going on over there where the people are. You get my drift? And then the person is like, you really see what you're dealing with sometimes when people get elevated.
Yeah. Hey, that applies to relationships and business as well.
Yeah. You're right.
No, seriously. I used to judge Jay-Z for a while because I didn't like that it appeared from my standpoint that he was partnering with white people in the music industry to blackball Dame Dash and mess up Dame Dash's business. But I saw a documentary some years back that woke me up one day, and it made me understand that, Jay-Z at 19 years old made a decision about what his life goal was. And it was to be a billionaire. And he didn't know Dame Dash, he didn't know Biggs, he didn't know none of them yet. Okay. And Dame Dash was off somewhere in Harlem, and he had a goal to get $20 million or $50 million. Everybody's goal was different. And so when they got to the crossroads to where Jay-Z saw that Biggs and Dame they were content with $50 or $100 million, but they weren't going to make the adjustments that would allow him to leap to $1 billion with them. He parted ways with them.
Right.
And there's actually nothing wrong with that. He gave them plenty of time to make millions and accomplish whatever they wanted to accomplish off of the partnership that they created. And then he decided he was going to move a different direction because he had a totally different goal than what they had. And sometimes that happens in romantic relationships as well.
Yeah.
That the goal is just different, and you begin to realize that you can't drag a person across the finish line.
Right.
That if they don't want to run with you, if they don't want to run to the goal with you, that they just dead weight. And you're going to be trying to carry them, and most likely you won't even get to where it is you're trying to go. And it doesn't even have to be a financial goal. It might be a closeness goal, a level of teamwork, a level of rapport with each other, a level of enhancing each other's lives. Everybody doesn't have the same goals. But people like to appear to be ambitious. So even in relationships, you meet people, you meet women. I'm sure women that meet men, and people are like, oh, I want to meet somebody I can build with, because that's just like a buzzword that's out there. But when you try to get into the details of build what, they don't have no details for you, because that's really not their dream. That's just what sounds good and possibly looks good on paper.
Right. That's good stuff, man. I mean,
I think.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry, Charles.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I actually agree with Inyatu. I think it's important to listen to how people respond when you are sharing your goals or your vision for your life. If you say, you know what, I want to be a millionaire in the next 10 years, and your partner said, man, I don't really care about money, shoot, like I'm cool with how my life is now, then believe them. That's exactly where they are. And then you need to make a decision, because that's more than likely not going to fit the path that you have to take for getting to where you want to be. I think we listen with what we want to hear, and we don't listen to actually hear what people are saying to us. I think that sometimes the most honest people are when you first meet them. If you just go back and think about everything that you were told in the beginning about what they wanted for their lives, sometimes they told you the truth in the beginning, but then as you start to feel for them, you think, well, I could show them a different way. I could show them a better way. I can increase their desire for their own life. But at the end of the day, they told you what they wanted from the beginning. It doesn't always work out that way, but a lot of times it does. A lot of times it does. And you have wasted all this time when they told your ass in the beginning that they just wanted to chill. They weren't really trying to do that.
Wow.
And I think I can piggyback on that too, Natalie. It goes along with expectations that people will try to place on folks. And it's like, I've talked to a lot of my friends in the past over the years, and they get mad because their significant other isn't doing certain things that they expect them to do. And I'm like, have you even told them that's what you were looking for? Right. Or did they give you that perception in the beginning that that's what they was on? A lot of people aren't listening to each other in the beginning, and they start painting pictures of things that aren't realistic. and they start getting mad at the person because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing for them. But y'all never even had that conversation to begin with. So I think a lot of people are letting themselves down and painting pictures that aren't really there for themselves.
But you know what? If you think about this, I used to always look at these movies sometimes. You always saw there was a family where they was well-to-do and wealthy. The kids were in these expensive private schools, and then the son or the daughter would come home and say, I fell in love with this person, and the family would be pissed because the person likely didn't come from money. The family looked at them like a risk. And so here's the thing: as time goes on, and you look back in perspective, I kind of understand why people sometimes think like that. Although money isn't everything, but it's a wise thing to have someone that understands where you are. When you deal with people who you're talking 200,000 and plus language, and they still on, well, I make 25, right? And a job is a job, but how a person handles your purse at that level and where they are is a huge difference. And so when it comes to life and how things are, I can understand back in the day why they attempted to have arranged marriages, because in their mind, they were saying, we think this would work best, Adam, if you and Penelope ran off, not you and that woman down in the wilderness. Just make an example, because we think on paper you two line up to be great, because they mean well. They're saying, look, if we're thinking about real life and bringing somebody to the table that understands and won't, because think about it, when it comes to the rich and wealthy, let's just be honest, almost 90 and 85% of their life is image. And really, it's just the family is really arguing about, they're saying, why are you choosing out of our image preference? You know you need a Natalie to be on your arm, not Rachel. What are you picking this person down there for? They can't understand our money. So that's what people get angry about. They want you to choose the right image so that you don't make you look bad or the family. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? To expand on that, because that's very real, but it's a tricky situation. I just said to someone earlier today that very few successful Black businesses are able to be passed down from generation to generation. Yeah. In fact, the only business that I see that consistently happen is funeral homes. Funeral homes stay in the Black community. Stay in the family no matter what. But you look at Ebony Jet, they went from selling the building to selling all the images that they had licensed that they owned and things of that nature. That the child came in and fired all the people who were working at Ebony Jet previously, hired all the friends from college, and basically ran that business into the ground and sold off all of the assets. Right. And in part, that can happen because of who you're partnered with, because they, again, is what I was saying earlier, they don't know how to be with a person that's on this level, whether it be financially, fame, or whatever it is. And that dynamic is important, that if you guys aren't on the same wavelength, then again, it's going to be like dragging a dead body across the finish line.
You ain't never lie.
I got in the comments, I wanted to say, Jonah Tim said something that I'd like to pose a question about. She says, statistically speaking, arranged marriages are more successful. And
I've heard that same statistic.
Me too.
I've heard that same statistic.
And why do you think that is amongst us or everybody? As a question, why would that work out better than the way that organically it should happen?
I
Because
saw a video. Oh, go ahead,
Go ahead. No, always ladies first. Go ahead.
I saw a video just the other day on Instagram, and it was a girl who had an arranged marriage, and they were showing how in love they were now. And when they asked her why she wanted an arranged marriage, she said that her parents have the ability to pick better than maybe she could pick as a young woman. And I think there's a little bit of truth to that, because think about the people that you were dating when you were in your early 20s. A lot of us are not still with those people. Some of us are, but most of us are not. And it's because your picker is very different when you're younger than when you're older. And your parents may be able to see some things that maybe you just don't have the maturity to see yet. So I can see how it might work, given if you guys are attracted to one another. But I think a lot of times in those situations, they're marrying, I believe, a virgin or close to a virgin. So she hasn't had a lot of experience. So
Right.
Serena, I think the benefit sometimes to people feeling like the arranged marriages work is because they're basically choosing off statistics. They're choosing off of family comparison, wealth comparison. They're thinking, look, we can make a better decision because we're making a decision minus your emotions. See, your emotions is where you go wrong in your.
that's it.
But the person on the outside is like, listen, Serena, I know you're in love, but trust me, you're gonna thank me years down the line for picking Adam in spite of his drugs. So it'll all work out.
You know what, son? You got one more time. I'm gonna be in my car with a face mask on and with gloves on. Keep on playing with me, bro. Keep on playing with me.
He'd be like, I'm just gonna use you for an example.
I know you good. I know you good at
it. Crackhead pimp dilemmas example we come up with. Too funny, but no, it is really just what Charles said is that when they're arranged marriage is based on compatibility, and most other marriages is based on feeling.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter how strongly you feel.
Yeah.
Torturing yourself. That's the worst thing that can happen to a human being is to fall madly in love with somebody that they ain't compatible with. You just about to torture yourself.
But it happens every day.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It happens
I can agree. Every day.
Every day.
But you know what, Adam, on that point, this is why we need to have a more trusted circle, because think about it. A lot of people are in situations where somebody say, listen, you don't need to deal with them. You just hate and get on my face. Let me do me. You get mad as opposed to taking it as someone looking out and saying, you know what, Serena or whoever, I don't think that's necessarily a great choice for you. That's just me telling you as a friend because I care about you. But most of us will be like, whatever, you just hating because you ain't got nobody, you upset. So we get mad as opposed to saying, you know what, maybe this person is trying to help me. You know what I'm saying? And we proceed anyway. You know? Yeah.
One of my most meaningful relationships and one of the relationships I learned the most from was kind of like arranged. One of my best friends had been telling me he wanted me to meet this young lady for like 2 years. And I used to be like, like, I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, beat it. And apparently the whole 2 years, he had been saying it to her too. And finally, one time he was able to get us on the phone together. It was my birthday or something. We was hanging out and she called him to ask him about something. And he put us on the phone and we connected. And so what that taught me is that it can take a long time for you to learn and be attracted to what's good for you. And a lot of times we have formed a habit of being attracted to what's just not good for us. And even though it's not good for us, we keep telling ourselves that this is what it is. And so it may be a different person that we're dating this time. It may be a different person that we're in a relationship with this time as far as their name and maybe exactly what they look like, but they're exactly the same thing that you've been going on before. And so I have a saying that, you know, God doesn't get mad at you if you fail the test. He just give it to you again and again and again. So a lot of us are still, you know, flunking freshman year. We still freshmen in high school as it pertains to relationships. We keep flunking. We're not going to become a sophomore, senior, or even graduate until we pass the lesson and begin to learn what's best for us. So sometimes your type really isn't your type.
Yeah. And man, you're speaking a milestone, and this is why a lot of times this is why that we don't listen in this aspect, but this is why when these relationships go awry, this is the importance of taking the time to heal, because when you don't heal, you end up further being attracted to more and more dysfunction. Somebody will come along where somebody else can be like, Adam might say, hey, y'all, man, don't waste your time, and you like this. No. she's just a little interesting. But Adam was like, listen to y'all two, don't waste your time. Because he clearly, but you haven't not healed before and just kept on moving and keep on dating, you're drawing these people that are really not good for you. And that's the cycle that we're in. We go from person to person, we don't get healed, we just got a warm body. You care about me, you think I'm cute, I'm gonna go with you. And we continue going around a circle, and before you get to it, you're in bad shape. Because you done chose a ton of duds behind you, but you're still trying to hope. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of women try to work around that, and how they do that. They keep picking the same guy over and over again, but what they do is when they meet that new guy, they tell him all the stuff the other guy did wrong to try to make him not be the same person that they're picking over and over again. So they try to put the onus on him instead of them being responsible for picking the right person for them. Whoever they meet, they give this list. And then later they like, I told him that cheating on me would break my heart. Why would he do that? You know what I mean? It's like, you keep picking cheaters. That's
right.
why.
I've seen it with women too. I've seen men get on the same level too with that, putting too much out there.
Yeah, your picker is broken. Your picker is broken.
Your picker is broken. You better trademark that, Adam. I'm still.
Yeah, I'm just saying your picker is broken. You better get somebody else to start picking for you. That's what I know.
I like what Brian Atterbury said. He said arranged marriage equals made by logic, finance, and common sense. Other marriages equal made by emotion, sex, and looks.
Correct. That's good. That's it. Good point. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I told myself we was going to do good this week. We are right at the hour. Perfect. So this is what we're going to do really quick. We're going to do a quick outro and let this roll. Natalie, give the people your advice on this topic. Even though we didn't get a chance to do the other questions, we'll lap them on next week. But this one kind of took over the interest. We kept going. So get a
well, wait, because I came in late, I don't know what the topic was. I just picked up where we were.
I'll lead you, Natalie. I'll lead you.
Okay, go ahead.
You know that.
So you know what? The topic of today's show, we were just talking about the dynamics of when either a man or a woman picks somebody who is not necessarily on their level and decides to invest in them and to bring them up, and the dynamic of being the person who is maybe somewhat down and out, maybe in a valley, or maybe never had a peak, and being the person that someone chooses to try to help come up. And so my advice is to the people who are looking to clean people up and invest in people, know exactly what you're getting into. Because a lot of people do that is because they feel like it gives them some level of control.
Bingo.
Right? It gives them some level of control over the situation, and they're happy as long as they have control.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is, the first time you take somebody out for a $200 dinner, it's mind blowing. It's so exciting. And then the second time, it's close to that. And then the third and the fourth and the fifth time, it starts to sink. And if you don't have no new tricks, and tricks is the only thing that was keeping this person, then they're gonna make their way to the exit. You know what I mean?
Good stuff.
And for the person who's on the other side of it, who is okay with being cleaned up, helped out, brought up, understand that control comes, a level of control comes along with that. And that's what you're signing up for. If this person is looking to control the scenario, and this person is looking for a super duper high level of loyalty to you because they feel like they're giving you something that you've never experienced before. And so whichever side of that fence you on, my advice is know what you're signing up for.
Good stuff.
Don't complain when you get it.
Serena, we'll pop to you and come back to now.
Okay.
I go back to what we were talking about earlier. I agree with Natalie when she said, listen to what they're saying in the beginning of the situation when you guys are first getting to know each other. They're presenting partly the representative and partly who they are, and their words are going to carry very heavy with their actions. So I think if two people are working together to help each other build one another up, that's a beautiful thing. But you need to learn that about the person as you get to know them. And kind of be mindful, watch for the warning signs that somebody's trying to come up on you.
Yeah.
So just be careful, keep your ear to the ground and watch for the red flags.
Wow. Mr. Ford.
What's going on? What you saying? What? I took a
We
nap
need
that
park words
fast. I
of
took a nap
wisdom.
that fast. It's 9:18. I took a nap that fast.
We need words of wisdom. We need words to
Right.
live by.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm gonna say I said at the beginning. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it again. Look, don't wait on nobody to come fix you up. Fix yourself up.
Yes.
Fix yourself up. It's just that simple. Don't wait for no man. Don't wait for no woman to fix yourself up. Because here's the thing. What if, perchance, that the person that's supposed to be for you shows up, but you're not ready?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So here, take a word of advice from me. Get yourself together. So that when your man and your woman shows up on the scene, you are already together.
That's it.
That's it.
Good stuff.
And I'm going to sleep. Night night.
Night.
Night night.
My turn?
Yeah.
So my resounding advice would be, stop dating potential. Like, just because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel for a person doesn't mean that they yet are looking at that from that vantage point. So I really do think that we have to allow people to be themselves and date them at that level. And just wait for them to demonstrate that they are ready to move beyond that level. But we got to quit dating potential.
Yes. Good stuff. And I'll just end off with the reality check of this. If we're being realistic, money typically gravitates around money. So when you find a person that has the time to use you as a project, that person likely is not accustomed to money themselves. They've gotten to come up. So now that they've gotten to come up, that's why they're able to make such a decision, a deficit gap decision financially, because that person likely isn't that used to it themselves. So now that they got it, they're like, oh, good, let me find someone and he can come on up or he can come on up. And I can, like Yaku said earlier, I can have that certain level of control, so to speak. But in most cases, you'll find that most people that have real wealth, you rarely see them date outside of that wealth ring. They already get it. They already are connected to people that are there. So I'm only saying that to say, again, just like reiterating what Adam said, how you alleviate all of this is just work on you. Stop looking for a crutch, looking for someone to pull you up and all this kind of stuff. Just do what you need to do for you. That way, when you do evolve, when you do elevate, you don't have to feel like, because there's no feeling like being in a lifestyle where someone can constantly remind you of how you got there. Think about the countless movies where we saw where men and women cussed the spouses out and said, I should have left your trash and tell where I found you. Nobody wants to hear that. You want to know you evolved because you did the work, you put the work in, and you got there on your own. Now, if it just so happens if you meet somebody and that person has a generous heart, they're not judgmental or critical, then that's a blessing to you. But that's kind of far few in between. Most times when you meet people and there's a huge gap financially, someone knows it and someone will treat you like it. So you got to keep that in mind and just do you and prepare yourself and get yourself together. Be an entrepreneur.
Hey, Charles.
Yes.
There's one more comment that came in that, can I read this one? I'm sorry, I see the look on your face.
All right. Go ahead.
It's a good one. It's the last comment for the night. It's great from Miss Kimley Adiva. Wonderful comment. She said, for the person that doesn't mind cleaning a partner up, don't invest more than you are willing to lose. For the person that doesn't mind being cleaned, every upgrade costs. Don't allow them to give you more than you can pay back. You can spend the rest of your relationship paying them back. You will pay eventually, and you may have to pay it in tears.
Wow.
So that was good. I had to share.
Let's call them now. And then at the end, I think Jonah says, the man, woman, that's you, period.
That's right.
Thanks all of you guys, Serena, Natalie, Adam, and Yaku for tuning in tonight. And the rest of y'all, we out, and we'll see y'all soon. Take care.
All right.
Peace.
Good night.
All right.
Night, guys.
Everybody